So let's begin our second part of our session today, which is about AWS Auto Scaling Group. Okay, so what is Auto Scaling Group? We're gonna check it out. This is the icon. You see it's an instance that is goes up and down and in. So content table, we're going to talk about introduction, key concept, use cases, monitoring and management, and a few of the best practices. Okay, so introduction. I don't want to like introduce it like I use, let me say, database. Okay, so we have this kind of architecture, but there is still a problem. So if we had like multiple users, and then we're going to have like a bit of problem with scaling our resources, so that's a huge problem, and we don't accept that. So now we have to manually scale up and down or vertically wise our instances. So we're gonna add or remove manually compute resources, and that's not gonna work with us, guys. That's not good. So anything that's automated, much better. Automated, less human intervention. So as long as there's less human stuff to do, that's like best. Okay. So what can we do here? What can we use? We don't want to like keep resizing our instances. That's not logical, I guess. So one of the things we can do is use an auto-scaling group. So using an auto-scaling group, and we're gonna see how. So let me use a rectangle. Angry. So rectangle. I want it to be, yeah, exactly. This dots, no, not that much. Okay, that's good. So now we're gonna add our, I have to remove the next, okay. So now we have our auto-scaling group, which is gonna be like this. And this auto-scaling group is gonna give us the ability to itself automatically add or remove more instances. So what's the difference? We've talked about this in Cloud 101. So when we've talked about horizontal scaling, aka ASG or auto scaling group, we're gonna talk about adding or removing, sorry, caps, removing instances based on demand. Okay. So horizontal scaling, aka auto scaling group, as known as. So this is adding or removing instances based on demand. So if we're gonna have multiple like users, as we see here, so we're gonna have like a lot of users, queues and stuff. So what EC2 instance is gonna do to the back, it's gonna give us the ability to like add more instances, as you can see here. So more instances to serve more clients. I'm sorry for the very bad drawing. So this is a very good architecture. And once these clients are gone, so when I remove these instances and they're gone and served, the auto-scaling group is gonna remove the additional services, and we're only left with, let's say, 2, because 2 users, 2 EC2 instances. So this is the functionality of auto-scaling group. So auto-scaling group helps us maintain availability. Of course, because we have seen that it's gonna add or remove instances based on demand according to the conditions you define. Of course, we're gonna see this using something that's called a cloud metric and a cloud alarm. So you can use EC2 auto-scaling group to ensure that the right number of instances are available to handle users or load. So if you click on learn more, you're gonna check the documentation for auto-scaling groups, and you're gonna read about it. Okay, So key concept, a few things we need to understand. First thing, there's a thing called Auto Scaling Group, and then we're going to talk about launch configuration, launch template, scaling policies and lifecycle hooks, and health checks, like the ones in the load balancer. You remember checking your wrist for heartbeat health checks. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is auto-scaling group. As we have seen in the picture, it's just a group or a logical grouping of something that we want to scale. Either you specify these three things, the minimum, maximum, and desired number of instances. So this is all you need to know about this slide. So you need to specify the maximum, minimum, and desired number. Also, we have this thing called launch configuration and launch template. If you remember in our EC2 instance, EC2 lecture, we have talked about AMIs, how it is a capture or an Amazon machine image. It captures the operating system with the software that is installed, and we can create it or automate you based on it. So this is the same thing. We can have an auto-scaling group that uses instances, so it includes such as AMI, instance type, key pair, and security group. So this gives the auto-scaling group the ability to add and remove instances. So scaling policies should scale based on what it should remove and add instances. So we're going to check that. And life hooks, it enables us to custom actions on our auto-scaling group, how it launches and terminates our instance. So we can maybe, what does lifehooks mean, or what does this mean in general? You can choose what kind of instances to terminate. So if we can see here that autoscaling 1, which is this one, was the oldest one. 2, 3, 4 are the newest ones. So now if you want to add more instances, and then all the users are gone. So now we want to remove these instances. So based on what to remove? Do we remove the oldest? Do we remove the newest, the ones who got added recently? So this is a life cycle hook. So for me, I like to remove it's actually based on the business case, I can see. Health checks. We've talked about it. It integrates with Elastic Load Balancer. And then EC2 instance, they check if this EC2 instance is healthy and it can take load or it can't. Okay. So use cases. Guys, these are 5 scenarios I want to talk about, and I want you to really understand and read what type of scenarios and business cases we're going to have. So scenario 1, it says we have an e-commerce web experience fluctuating traffic patterns with spike during sales and events and holidays. So هون بحكي إنه في عنا متجر أونلاين، وهذا المتجر بصير عنده fluctuating traffic، يعني بصير عنده اضطرابات في اليوزرز تاعونه، قديش ناس بدخل عنده على السيستم. لما يكون عندنا سيلز، أكيد سالي، أنا بالنسبة لها سيلز اسمها سالي، أو هوليديز. of course انتوا بتعرفوا احنا عنا في الأردن مثلا بحبوا يرفعوا السعر قبل الأعياد، أو لما يكون عندنا مثلا خصومات بتلاقي العالم زي الدنيا، زي مثلا البلاك فرايداي which is like a piece of nice thing, let's say. So this is a scenario we can talk about. So the solution is what we're talking about here. We have fluctuating traffic patterns, so we can't predict. ما بنقدر نتوقع كمية الناس اللي رح تيجي عنا على السيلز events والهوليديز. فإيش الحل تاعها؟ we can use auto scaling group to automatically scale out, add more instances during high traffic periods to maintain performance, and scale in during low traffic periods. So scale out, add more instances when we have sales and holidays, and scale in when we don't have sales or events or holidays. So it's going to be the same as it is. So what's the benefit of using auto-scaling group in this scenario? So this ensures high availability, optimal performance while controlling costs. So can you imagine that when you have the customer, you're just using it? So if we went back to the diagram we have drawn, so this is the diagram, and we can see that the traffic is this way. When you want to buy your data center, you either buy the median So you either buy this. So anything above this line, like, wait, let me do it in red. So anything above this line is gonna have downtime. They're not gonna be served. Those are lost customers. Or you can buy the maximum. And this you see here. So let me change color and let me put it as, let's see. I want a good color. Okay. So anything that is like here, here, you're gonna pay like a lot because you're paying the maximum usage. So EC2 instance give you EC2 Auto Scaling Group gives you the ability to serve customers based on demand, so based on traffic. So you're only gonna pay for the traffic and the usage that you're having. So this is the ability to controlling costs. So let's check the second scenario. So we have a company that wants to process large volumes of data and batch jobs that run periodically. So we have talked about batch jobs and parallelism. Also, again, we have talked that we have huge data. So if you're a data scientist or a data engineer or big data, anything, so we have here the data, and we want to segment it so we can make it easier and faster to process and clean and maintain. And then we're gonna have it in clean data. So this is called a batch processing job, and we can use auto scaling to manage these instances. Okay, so what's the benefits? What's the solution? So we can configure to launch instance when the batch process are scheduled and terminate once the jobs are complete. So that's great. So maybe I want this to work on 5 p.m. and end at 7 p.m. So we can schedule that in auto scaling group. So this is gonna help us with cost. So here we can see we have efficient utilization for resource and cost saving. So we only run the instances we need. Does anyone have any kind of question till now? Okay. Is it easy or is it hard؟ صعب ولا سهل؟ auto scaling group أسهل من load balancer بحس. بس they go in pairs. Okay. So let's check the third scenario. We have a mission critical application that needs to be highly available and resilient to failures. Again, if we're having three instances and we have a load balancer, so LB, and here we have our auto scaling group. So this LB is gonna traffic to these three instances. So let's say this instance is down, the utilization is gonna be much higher because this traffic is now routed to these two. Autoscaling group will give us the ability to replace this one with a new one. So this is a new. That's a very nice new. Okay. So the benefit or the solution is we can deploy instances across zones, like remember cross-zone load balancer, and this is going to give us the ability to fail over and redundancy. So you see here how we have deleted this and we have created a new instance or routed traffic to these two. This is called a failover. So you give your failure to something else. So fail over. So this is going to enhance our availability, our fault tolerance, and multiple easy solutions. Okay. So this is one of my best scenarios. So scenario number 4, we have an online multiplayer game. Let's say Call of Duty or Black Ops. So we have a game and then varying player loads throughout the day. So of course, why time zone is different than, let's say, US time zone and so on. So we're going to have different player throughout the day. So we're going to implement an auto-scaling group that automatically scale gaming servers up and down based on numbers of active player. This is going to help us reduce costs during off-peak hours. That's good. It's gonna also have ensures a smooth gameplay experience, of course, because we're gonna add instance and remove them based on demand. Okay, so development and testing environments need to replicate production workloads for accurate testing. So we need to test and develop an environment, and we need to replicate the production testing. So in businesses, we have two things we need to understand. We have a dev test environment. Wait, let me add a box. Here, add text box. So we have something that's called a dev test environment. And we have a thing called a production environment. So this is a production environment. So what's the difference between these two? Software engineers upload updates and patches and new features on the dev test environment, and they develop and test this environment. Then they upload it to production. And they use this using DevOps methodologies, version control systems, stuff like this. So production is the one, like I'm using Canva right now. So this is a production environment because I'm a customer and I'm using a production environment. So here we're talking about a production environment. So we need this production to be replicated. So we need this to be the same. We can use an auto scaling group to configure that. So we can automatically provision and replicate multiple instances that replicate our production. And this is going to help us with cost effective. Also, it's going to cut us down and resources. Like it's going to give us a lot of time to do whatever we want. Okay, so monitoring and management, we have this thing called CloudWatch Alarm, CloudWatch metrics, and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so monitoring in ASG, anything that is related to monitoring, you can say that monitoring is related to CloudWatch. So there's CloudWatch. This is CloudWatch. Okay, so if you remember when we used in our Linux week, we've used htop. You remember the command htop that gives us the ability, or a real-time analysis. It gives us the CPU utilization. Maybe I'm using 27%. Like, go down. So monitoring we said. Monitor is CloudWatch. So maybe I have 75%. Oh. So maybe I have 75% of CPU utilization. And I need to add more instances. So this is a metric. This is something we count on to check out here, a metric. So when this metric is exceeded, it's gonna set up an alarm and it's gonna alarm the auto scaling group to create more instances. So we can set up a metric that is, if the CPU utilization goes above than 75% for more than 5 minutes, add instances. So this is an alarm effect, let's say. Effect. So this is add more instances. So add instances here. Okay. So we have a service that's called CloudWatch. This CloudWatch server is related to monitoring in AWS, not just ASG. We have something that's called metrics. So it's based on what we'd want to deploy our alarms or trigger our alarms. And this here, you can have an action based on specific metrics. So management, we have either instance management or lifecycle management. So we've talked about life hooks. And we can manage instances using ASG. We can check them out by not installing actually, but by checking health checks and all these kinds of stuff. So best practices, we can use multiple availability zones for high availability and fault tolerance. Implement health checks, ELB health checks, we've talked about them. optimize scaling groups, so make them efficient, make them as much efficient as much as possible. We can monitor costs, so keep your eye on cost, and use auto scaling group with ELB. So we're gonna check this right now. So before we start our lab, does anyone have any kind of question? Before we start our lab. Okay. فبشكل مختصر عندنا اللود بالانسر، هو بيوزع الترافيك، هو بيوزع اللود على اليوزرز بيست على عدة أشياء. إذا كان HTTP أو HTTPS بنستخدم ALB، إذا كان TCP UDP بنستخدم Network Load Balancer، وإذا كان Virtual Appliances we're gonna use Gateway Load Balancer. Then we can associate the load balancer with an auto scaling group. This auto scaling group is gonna add or remove instances based on certain metrics that are triggered by an alarm, or that triggers an alarm, sorry. So this kind of metrics can be CPU utilization, memory, a lot of things. You can even custom your own metrics, and we're gonna see these. So let's go and check CloudWatch. Here it is. So if we want to create an alarm, we can create our metric. So based on what do we want this alarm? We have also 3 states of alarm. We have in alarm, okay, and insufficient data. So here you can see in alarm, and we have okay and insufficient data. Okay. So if we go to metrics and we can see all metrics, we can see that we have 90 EBS metrics, 12 DynamoDBs, application ELB. We have 74. We have 170. Wow, EC2 metrics. So let's check them out. Let me go back. EC2. Okay. I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger. So here we can see we have CPU utilization, metadata no token, network in, we have network out, disk write-ups. We have a lot of things. We have like CPU credit balance usage, a lot of stuff. So let me like check the here. I don't have any kind of EC2 instances, unfortunately. So graph metric, I don't have any kind of instances, so I'm sorry. Okay. So if you want to create an alarm, we go to alarms. It's really easy to create alarms. So in alarm, all alarms. And we can create an alarm based on certain metrics. So we can create on EC2 instances, instance metric, and we can scroll down until we find our CPU utilization. Here it is. And we have, CPU utilization. Select metric. And we have here, I don't have any kind of instances, but that's fine. So static, and we have anomaly detection. Oh, sorry. So we have to say greater than, let's say 50%. So greater than 50%, it's gonna launch an instance. So next. Okay, select existing SNS topic. I don't want a notification. So we have an auto scaling action, EC2. We can select a group. I don't have any kind of group because I'm gonna launch a new one. So let's go to auto scaling group and do that. So ASG, they're gonna be in the EC2 instance console. So if we went down, we have auto scaling groups. Create an auto scaling group. It's gonna ask me, so ASG1, launch template, Apache server 0. Okay, I don't think it's gonna work yet. Switch to launch configuration, create launch configuration. Let's do that. So Apache 1, maybe. AMI. Let's choose Linux. Next. Oh, the public ones. Ah, they will give me a really bad headache. So I should choose instance type. Me and AMIs are not really good friends, you know. So let's create an AMI first. Okay, so EC2 dashboard. Here you go, AMIs. And we want to create an instance for us. So instance, launch instance. Gonna have the code that I sent you guys. The metric are global or specific to AZs. The metrics are metrics are for services. They're not for how can I tell you? Like metrics are for services. They're used for services. So proceed without key pair, allow HTTP, and let's install our dearest Apache server. I'm gonna switch to Nginx next. So launch instance. I'm sorry, guys. I'm taking a lot of time. That's fine. Okay. So now, if we went to an instance and then we have waited until it's running, here it is. So I want to delete those. I can't. I can't delete them. But I can use the filter. So I can use the instance that are running. So instance state. Here it is. It's running. And I can create an image. Okay, so here everything is kind of default. Let's try now. So let's try having our AMI. Let's check our AMIs. Okay, here's our Apache one. And okay, so let's go to our auto scaling group and create one. The name ASG1. Launch template. Create a launch template again. My temp can have Linux. Don't include in launch template. No, I want you to micro. Key pair. Okay, so don't include. And let's use Launch Wizard 3. Advanced details. We can again upload our code. So there's two ways to do that. So create launch template. After we do that, let's refresh and use my temp. Okay, so default, everything is good. Next, network. We can create our availability zones. Next. And then we can attach a new load balancer. We can do that already and very fast. So ASG1, internet facing. Yeah, that's good enough. So let's see. Select a target group. We can also create a target group. ASG1. Is it like still available? Okay, created a new one. Here you can see we can turn on health checks. So you can see. So let's give it like 1000 seconds or 60 seconds. So we don't want any kind of, enable group metrics. Next. Right. I'll select the subnet. Okay. I'm selecting subnets. I don't know. So we have talked about we can select desired capacity. I just want one. We can end minimum and maximum. So we can end 2, no, 1, and 4. So we don't want more than 4. No scaling policies. Next behavior, launch before terminating. So here we have instance maintenance policy. So these you kind of need to check them out. So next. I don't want any kind of notifications. Next. Okay, so now we have created everything and create auto scaling group. Okay, because we have actually put the desired instances one, so I think it's gonna launch our instance. So it's still updating capacity, but I think it's gonna launch an instance. So let's go and check that out. See our running instances, and I think it's gonna, at any moment now, it's gonna launch an instance. Here we can see we have a desired capacity, so let's like refresh this. Yes, here it is. So let me terminate this. I don't need it anymore. So this one is by the auto scaling group, not the Apache one, this one, the one that has no name. So this is created by an auto scaling group. And now if you want to like load it, we can do that. So let's go back to CloudWatch. All alarms. Create an alarm. Select the graph, and we can select our CPU utilization we're talking about. So let's go P instance metrics. And CPU utilization. So here it is. Select metric. Static greater, we set then 50%, and then next. I don't want any kind of notifications, so add auto scaling group. I want to group my temp. It's not adding. I just need to refresh it maybe. Also, I can have the ARN for that specific one. So upscaling group. That's weird. I'm not having the EC2 action, so add scaling action. I'm still not having but يعني, the group should appear right here, apparently. Okay, so Lambda action. We're gonna talk about Lambda, by the way, guys. So let me try and put the AR in. But that's not gonna work. I'm very sure of it. Why not? So launch, no, not launch template. I want the ARN. Oh, apparently, guys, I can't find it. But that's fine. So, actions maybe. Oh, I can edit it. So let me see what I can do right here. Desired. Cool down. Yeah. All these stuff are very advanced. It's for solution architect if you want to like check these out. Okay. Move again. Gonna refresh. Maybe it's gonna work this time. Honestly, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna give up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna check it like tomorrow and see what's wrong with it. Why it's not showing yet. It's not showing. So I cancel. That's fine. Okay. So now we have created our auto scaling group and we have attached the load balancer to it. So if we want to load balancer, we're gonna see our load balancer and the how it checks. So let's check this out. So zero load balancer. Here it is. Let's check our health checks. Okay. You see here we have zero stickiness. So manage rules, edit rules. Next. Conditions, add condition. We can add a condition. I don't want any kind of conditions to be honest. Oh, I need at least one condition. Okay. Yeah, I can do that, but I'm not gonna do it anymore. That's fine. Okay. So I want to check the health checks of these. Back to ASG. I'm gonna figure it out. That's fine. Of course, it's not necessary. Monitoring. Yeah. We're gonna have graphs on everything. Okay, guys. So I think that is it for today. Does anyone have any kind of question till now? Because today was very long. It was a very long lecture, and I really want to delete these. Let me delete it and clean up everything I have. So delete and delete my load balancer. I think the instance will be terminated, maybe. Anyways, I'll terminate it either way. So terminate. Okay. So I have cleaned up. Nice. Okay. So does anyone have any kind of question before like we go close the lecture? Okay. Uh, guys بس عندي طلب صغير. I have one quick thing to ask. Please, please. في بعت I sent on Slack survey وعملتها هي pin على الشات. Please عبوا السيرفي. Thank you, Sabine. So بكرة راح يكون عندنا containers. So tomorrow we're gonna have containers session. It's also gonna be a very long session. رامي كنت بدك تحكي إشي ولا عملت رياكشن اللي ما انتبهت شفت إشي بيتحرك عندك؟
ثانك يو بس انه كنت بدي احكي انه ان شاء الله بنعبي السيرفي وزي ما حكوا اذا في اسئله ان شاء الله بنسالها.
خلص great. وأنا بحاول كمان أدعمكم بشوية فيديوهات إكسترا لأنه أحكي لكم الصراحة like it kind of needs more يعني that's just a basic introduction على ال